Two strange experiences in one night circa 2009. Back in 2009 when I was in my early 20s I'd often go on late night walks with a friend. We lived in a seaside town in the UK and our walks would take us around the outskirts of the town and past a big estuary. We only drank at weekends and these particular events took place midweek whilst we were stone cold sober, for what it's worth. We set off from my mum's house around 9 p.m. and after walking for 30 minutes or so we stopped to pet a cat. We were beside a building that had a big glass front. I was petting the cat when my friend said, "Fucking hell, that's creepy, look in that window." I glanced up and there was an old man sat bolt upright in a chair at the back of the room in complete darkness, just staring outside. We watched him for a short while and he was completely still. My friend even pondered whether the guy was dead. We eventually moved on and after that our night got even stranger. We made our way past the town's dump, out through a close, around the town's boating lake and down towards the estuary. It would have been nearing 10:30 p.m. at this point. We wandered past some really lavish houses that overlooked the estuary and then arrived at a narrow wooded lane that goes right down to the estuary. Normally on this walk we just ignore the lane and keep going past the houses, to the top of the road and back into town, but on this night we decided to wander down to the water's edge. As soon as we set foot in the lane it immediately got darker due to the tree coverage on each side. The only source of light was at the end of the lane. We were completely silent, just trudging down the lane and the feeling was fucking horrible, jut cold and apprehension out of nowhere. As we got to within 20 yards of the water we both stopped at exactly the same time with no communication. I was staring at a shape that I could make out down the bottom of the lane. At first I thought it was a signpost but as my eyes focused it seemed to look more like a broad figure with a big head that stood about 7 to 8 feet in height. I was trying to rationalize in my head when my friend broke the silence and said, "Do you see that thing down there?" I replied with, "Yep," and without any further communication we both turned around dashed back up the lane. It was only 20 seconds or so until we got to the street but the whole time the back of my neck was cold and I felt like I was being chased. Once back on the street we began walking, thankful for the streetlights lining the pavement. At this point we started talking again, both not only saw the same thing but we also felt the cold and sensation of being chased. We remarked on how without communicating we both instinctively turned tail and got out of there as fast as possible. We both described seeing the same eerie shape of what appeared to be something bipedal and absolutely massive, shrouded in darkness like a shadow. Yet there were no shadows down there because of the tree coverage, it was almost blacker than a shadow if that makes sense. There was like a density to that dark shape. Like a void. We went back to my place and watched South Park to wind down. My mate then left and I insisted on him texting me when he got home. Which as two young men is something we never did, male privilege and all that. Now, I had an appointment at a mobile retinal scanning clinic the next day. This happened to be taking place in a car park next to the house we saw the old man in. I went to this appointment and met up with another friend who lived nearby. As we rounded the corner I glanced at the house and it was completely empty, no furniture or anything. I mentioned to my friend about what I'd seen the night before and she said, "Well that's weird because my mum used to clean for the old couple that lived there but they died a few years ago and it's been empty ever since." Fucking goosebumps all over my body both then and now.